in, babe.
Welcome to
Coco Caliente.
Holy crap.
Last night was rough.
I'm still, feeling some type of way.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just, I guess, it was as accurately portrayed as they could do it. But there were still some things that were left out because there's only so much time in an episode.
Well, a lot happened off camera,
That's what I'm saying. And there's only X amount of time in an episode. So I'm not mad on the edit, but
Oh, no, I'm not mad about the edit.
There's definitely things that we want to add.
Well, I think people are confused.
Yes.
And so where do you want to start?
Okay, so I want to start first and foremost, right when the last leg finished in Uganda, and when this episode started, they showed the Big Brother teams going, no U-turn alliance, Big Brother alliance,
right.
Whatever. And that actually, and now we're getting questions like, they were helping you, you were in an alliance together, and it's like, okay, guys, when teams come up to you and ask you to be in an alliance, you can't say no. Right.
And honestly, playing 3 seasons of reality television, the person that is bringing you the alliance is the one that needs the alliance.
Yeah. Up to that point, we were doing fine. We had no beef with no teams at all. We
Exactly.
weren't, we might have been on some people's radars because we got, second place a couple times, but we had a good relationship with everybody up to that point. So we didn't want to be in an alliance.
We said yes because you don't ever say no. But the thing is okay, before even that, if you have people come up to you, there's people. So, okay, backtrack. In the race, you have so much downtime. You hang out with people at the airport, on the plane,
at the pit stop.
At the pit stops. There's so much, and you form bonds, okay? So there are people we are close to at this point in the race, really close to, that we spend our free time with at the airports, which can be 6 to 8 hours, on the plane, which can be 14 hours. And Rachel and Alyssa are not one of the teams that we spent any time with. Therefore, we didn't have a relationship.
We actually, people don't know this. We weren't friends before the show.
But we talked to them at the airport and stuff. I get that. But we weren't. It just wasn't the same connection.
There's a difference between talking and there's a difference between sitting down with somebody for 3.5 hours, talking back and forth. You make a passing comment or whatever standing there, and then when you go sit down, you sit down with some other people that you want to talk to, like Chris and Brett.
Yeah, exactly.
I talked to Chris and Brett a lot. Team Fun. I juggled, played games with Team Fun all the time.
And I was really close with Brittany, and so it just... It's so hard because you guys just see, they said they were in an alliance. That was the only time that we ever talked about really working together. Up to this point, they had not helped us in any way, shape, or form. We had, so...
And they threw the alliance on our lap, and we're like, okay, well, we have to say yes.
With the cameras,
if we say no, that's going to look bad for us, down the line.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we didn't know them before the show. They might have sent a message, when you get off Big Brother or something, but it's not like we were friends. We didn't talk on the phone. I didn't know them.
I think Alyssa said at the mat with Phil, Nicole, liked my Instagram photos, and we were friends. I've never met her before in my entire life. And liking someone's Instagram photos, she would like mine, I would like hers.
Common courtesy.
That's not what, I don't owe you anything for that. And anyways, we will explain why we did what we did. But backstory was, up to this point,
no relationship.
There was no foundational relationship to have any types of feelings or why we didn't even believe them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, first and foremost, we get to Switzerland, and they didn't do us justice jumping off of that train because we had to run 3 kilometers with our backpacks, and they just kind of showed quick parts of it. But man, that was exhausting.
Yeah, they showed me walking.
Nicole did run, but that was a trek. And the frustrating part about this leg is that it was kind of short in the grand scheme of things, and it was a lot of where you arrived on that run is kind of where your placement was in the race. And then after that run, there was a lot of waiting, right? So you do the run, and then you go set up to do the jump in the gorge, right? And you have to wait in line. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you got to take the helicopter ride. You have to wait in line.
Right, because there's like so many minutes between helicopter rides.
Yeah, for safety. Mm-hmm. And so that's just one of those things where one little hiccup can really cost you, the race.
And even choosing the opposite, like, detour.
Yeah. But I want to know what was going through your mind when you knew you had to jump off the highest thing you've ever been on, probably ever in your life.
Oh my gosh, I was so scared. So I'm a person, okay, I get frazzled very easily. And we had just been, I do not like confrontation. I do not like drama. I try to, stay low no matter what. And on the train, we were getting, yelled at. And
oh, yeah. I just completely skipped over that. No, we can talk about that.
It's fine. But it was in my head. Like, I was defeated because I felt bad a little bit. And the reason I felt bad was because they legitimately thought, like, the absolute worst of us and that we just completely threw them under the bus. They started getting personal. Saying things about my brand, which I did not understand. Anyway, so my mind is, and I know, like, in the meantime, you guys, so we were on the airplane. Rachel or Alyssa, I don't even remember which one, came up to me, told me about the U-turn, no cameras. So instantly I'm like, well, this is really weird. Maybe they're just trying to get into my head. They have never tried to help me this far. Like, why are they trying to help me now? And why are they telling me that Team Fun, the one team that they don't get along with because of U-turning, is wanting to U-turn us? So my mind is just spinning like, this is a really good move, like this is a good game move. And so I'm thinking, well, I'm getting worried. Yeah. And I go back to Victor, tell him, and we kind of were like, well, if we don't verify this information.
Yeah, if we act on impulse, and it's wrong, then we're basically doing the Riley sisters a favor by U-turning a team that they U-turned and failed to get out. Right.
And we know at this point that the clue says we have to run like a 1.5 miles when we get off the train. So for her to get me riled up when we know we all have to run a really far distance, everyone's thinking to a U-turn board, it makes freaking sense to tell somebody that. Because they don't think like they can outrun Team Fun. We sure in the hell can't. So our game move now is to ask Team Fun, because we were close to Team Fun at this point.
And that's the thing. Like, people think that the Riley sisters were heartbroken because we betrayed their trust, but there was no trust established before that point.
Exactly.
Team Fun, on the other hand, we had a relationship with. Like, not saying that we were best friends, but we thought we were in the good with them. We talked to them. We told them they were our favorite team. Like, we told them that, like, we think you guys are awesome. And so to hear that they might have thrown our name out like that was like, oh, that doesn't sound right.
Right. So we at the moment didn't believe them.
Yeah.
And we just thought it was kind of a game move. But then we said, if it is true, because we are a kind of strong team, then keeping that under the rug when we're about to run 1.5 miles and I'm not fast, we have to do something. So the game move at this point is to ask them. Team Fun said, no, we didn't say that. So now we're like, okay, their Team Fun's lying.
Somebody's lying,
which is
here.
Fine. Or, Rachel and Alyssa are lying, which is fine. But we have no way of figuring it out. Either way, we put it out there.
Yeah. At this point, it doesn't matter if both teams are lying, right? Rachel and Alyssa, obviously, they were right, and that's fine. But had we kept that in, if there was a U-turn board there, that may have changed Team Fun's decision right there.
Exactly.
Because now they're like, oh, no, we didn't say that to Rachel and Alyssa. No, we like you guys. We're not U-turning you guys.
And if they didn't want to U-turn Rachel and Alyssa because they didn't think they were, like, strong and wanted to go for the strong teams, it wouldn't have put the target on Rachel and Alyssa's back. It would have just put it on, maybe the Afghanimals or Christy or Colin.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's not like we didn't know what it was going to do. We just were in that moment. What do we do?
All in all, the lesson that I've learned through life is you trust, but you verify.
Yeah.
Because trust is a strong thing to give away without doing any research. I can trust you, but I'm going to verify that information. And it's for $1 million.
But it's not that I would verify. So had Brittany told me this information, we were so close, like so close. I would have never repeated it. There's still things to this day that Brittany would tell me, and I will never repeat because I trust her. I know that she would not do me wrong. But given the circumstances with Rachel and Alyssa, I didn't feel that, and I didn't know that. So it's not like I always verify. I don't, because I know that bites you in the butt, and I want people to be able to trust me, but it has to be mutual.
Yeah, same with like Chris and Brett. If Chris and Brett had come up to us and said,
we
hey,
would have believed them.
This is going on, and be like, oh,
we would have never asked Team Fun.
Never. We would have been like, all right, this sucks.
And that's because we had a relationship throughout the race and trust throughout the race. It wasn't just, oh, I'm going to tell. It's like a stranger kind of coming up to you and just being like, your best friend just said this about you. And it's just like, what? Like,
yeah,
okay.
Let me just drop this information here and just like...
And if it's true, like the fact that it was true is why some people are like, well, do you feel bad? And I mean, if they were genuinely trying to help us, they just didn't do it at all throughout the race.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, all right, that's fine. Like, then just don't trust us down the line, right? Just don't trust Victor and Nicole with information.
There's bridges that you know you're going to burn. Like, doing that, we knew that we weren't going to be able to work with them moving forward.
And
but
we
that
were
was
okay with that.
Right. And not in a mean way, but just like they were kind of, it could have almost been a Hail Mary for them too, because they were finishing towards the end quite a bit, you know, and it wasn't something I knew just even talking to them would cause drama. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like, all right, that happened. Had it been on the other side, had we told somebody information and they...
Which has happened to me before. And you know what? Happened. I just say, I'm never going to tell you information again. We're not close enough.
There's no reason to do personal digs, to yell, to... And I mean, we'll get that at the end of this episode too. Like when we get on the mat, like all that extra stuff is unnecessary. Like I get it, but at the end of the day, we're all racing for $1 million, and it is what it is. But
and anyway, so I have all this in my head. I feel really upset, and then I know I have to run 1.5 miles, and then when I get there, it says I have to jump off of a giant. I don't even know how freaking high, 400 feet free falling.
It's like a 400-foot free fall. I was so jealous though.
So I was really scared. I'm really scared of heights. I was scared of that. And then I also just had everything else in my head. Like, honestly, we defeated ourselves that leg because I beat myself up because I am a very emotional person. And so if I think like, wow, I, don't deserve this, then I'll like make sure I get last type of thing. Like, I don't know. It was just this weird feeling of defeat, but through verbal, like them like verbally saying things to me, not like physical, or it was more mentally. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt mentally exhausted. But anyways, I made the jump. I survived. I can't believe I lived. I'm pretty sure I died. I'm not even joking. I didn't scream.
You were like in shock.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to really ever back out because I just thought like, this is for $1 million. Like if I make this jump, I can win $1 million.
And if you don't make the jump, you go in
Victor's
the back behind
kill me.
Chris and Brett, and we have to wait.
Yeah, and I knew Victor would be so upset. So it was just so crazy, and I just fell with no scream, and I kind of went limp, and then my body woke up, and I was like, oh my God, I'm alive. It was crazy. And then we had to get off.
That helicopter ride.
Yeah, people were asking
awesome.
about that.
It was gorgeous. I mean, we went over mountains and the Alps and everything, snow covered, and then you could see all the gorges, like the dams, and there was just all glacier blue water. I mean, it was one of the most beautiful. I mean, I haven't taken many helicopter rides, but
Switzerland was so the most beautiful place I've ever been.
The scenery is amazing. If anybody ever gets a chance to go on a trip and over there, it's remarkable. And yes, people, I'm sorry, the people in Switzerland don't speak Swiss. All right, they speak like French, German, and English. I mean, they speak a number of languages over there, but I'm a huge proponent of getting in shape, getting fit, not only for your physical self, but for your mental self, right?
Okay, so, and I am now on the bandwagon of, I never really cared about getting the perfect body because it's just, I like food and working out is kind of hard for me. But for my mental stability and sake, I have been doing Open Fit as well.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know, Open Fit is basically an online streaming service that has just a library of amazing trainers and classes. Super simple, and you can access it anywhere and anytime, like on your TV or your like web-enabled TV or like your phone or computer, whatever. And it just has so many different workouts, which Nicole's doing right now.
I actually really love Extend Bar. I've always loved bar, but this is something that I think anyone would love because you don't even need a bar at home. It's with Andrea Rogers. She's super cute and she's fun and she's like uplifting, and I do it in my house. I do it literally from my computer screen, and I feel it's only 30 minutes, which is what I love because they tell me for me to have more clearer mind and reduce anxiety, I just need to do 30 minutes a day. Well, I'm doing just 30 minutes a day, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, and you can lose up to 15 pounds. In just the first 30 days, you can flatten your abs, shape your body, look and feel great.
Well, depending on, whatever your goals are. Like for me, it's just like I want to feel better and I want to sweat.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So it has different classes for different goals.
Yeah.
And then something that they're letting you do right now during the Open Fit 30-day challenge, our listeners can get a special extended 30-day free trial membership to Open Fit, where you can lose up to 15 pounds in 30 days when you text COCO to 303030.
Nice.
Again, that is a free 30-day trial membership to Open Fit. All you got to do is text COCO to 303030. Give it a try. And then after the helicopter ride, so we go to the funicular?
Yeah. Funicular.
Funicular, sorry. Yeah. We go to the funicular. We go up, right? Everybody watch the show. We do the competition. When we're up there, we ask for directions, right? We ask like 3 people and we verify directions 3 times. And everybody's telling us when you leave out of the parking lot, you take a right.
Yeah.
Right? And I asked 3 people. And silly me, and Nicole's absolutely right, when we were leaving that parking lot, there was somebody sitting there, and Nicole said, "You want to get directions just one more time, from this person to make sure?" And I was like, "No, like we've already asked 3 people. Like we got it."
Right.
Little did we know, everybody that we asked that went to that tourist attraction, there was a different parking lot for them than where we parked. And they parked on the other side of the road, meaning that their right turn is actually our left turn.
Yeah.
And that was...
And the thing is when we were up top trying to get directions, we had trouble. Like, Victor had to speak... You ended up speaking Spanish with someone because no one spoke English. And...
There's no cell service.
There was no cell service. So we were taking, like, just people's word for it. And we couldn't get anyone's phone to work. So the guy at the bottom was on his phone. And that's the only reason I wanted, like, quadruple check. Is because he had a phone that looked like was working. And when we're self-driving, it's very scary because
you don't know.
You don't know.
I'm telling you, also driving in Switzerland in those zigzaggy roads up the mountains was awesome. But we got to a point where we're like, oh my gosh, we've been driving 15 minutes in the wrong direction, and so that right there,
it was such a short leg. Like, it's so crazy. I think that our detour and their detour, we probably left at like around the same time because like we weren't lost for that long, and they got lost too driving. And they got lost too and asked for directions, and we got out once and asked for directions again, and then we found it. Yeah, so that was tough. And getting to the parking where you're supposed to park and seeing all the cars there. Actually, when we were pulling up, that made me sick.
We saw Chris and Brett, I think, running. When we were parking, and I was like, oh no, like that's it. Well,
and also being by yourself, is hard because if we had someone to even like just follow,
even if they're going the wrong way, you feel better.
You know, you're like in the same like predicament.
Yeah.
It's just like a sprint to the mat.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, my head wasn't in it. I was emotionally drained, physically drained, mentally drained. And I carried all that stress with me throughout the entire leg while doing all those height challenges.
Which I think you did a really good job of conquering your fear of heights. I mean, I know you're still scared of heights, but being able to do the gorge jump, do the what is it again?
I remember seeing it on the clue. It's funicular.
Funicular. Doing the funicular ride, the steepest one, you know, and even that suspended bridge, like all that stuff. I am proud of you.
Yeah, we ran quite a ways too. From the top of the funicular to where we had to put the map.
Oh, that was a trek, yeah.
It was a really long, like I thought the Afghan animals were joking. Because, I mean, at this point, I trust no one.
But then, yeah, so when we finally do get to the mat, I mean, I was like, I thought that was it.
Oh, for sure, because there was already 2 non-limbs, and they were very recent.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no way. And so what happened is we come up to the mat. We're obviously defeated. Rachel and Alyssa definitely got to be secretly happy. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, after the entire drama.
So I think they got like this, because Alyssa hugged me before I made the jump and said, like, let's get over it. Like, let's drop this. And we both said we're sorry. And then that's why you saw us hug in the episode, because we had previously talked.
Yeah.
And then...
Oh, that's when I was rolling my eyes.
Right. Because I was like, let's just, like, get through... Like, I just want to get through this. And then when the cameras were there and they were all like, ooh, we beat them.
They turned on.
Oh, they turned on, man. And I was like, we just said we weren't going to bring this up. And it was like, I'm already... thinking we're eliminated. You said you weren't going to bring it up, and then they just turn right back on and all into the drama. And
we just try to help you. You know, we're like, you're just playing victim and blah 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 blah.
And I'm mad I didn't at that point like stand up for myself.
We're your friends, like.
But at the same time, it was like I was embarrassed in front of Phil, like that this was going on.
Yeah.
And that it was still an issue, because literally all we did is someone told us that you're going to get U-turned. We asked if we're going to get U-turned, and that's what caused this whole drama. And
I don't think that's fair to get like
that's it.
Get stomped on. We're in last place. We think we're getting out, and you still want to stomp on us. You still want to give us all the reasons why we're bad, right? All the reasons why you're good and we're bad. And it's like, if we're already out, what does this matter?
Exactly. And that's when my mind started thinking. I'm like, why are they letting all this drama unfold unless we're still in it?
And I will say...
So then I was like, there's hope.
This didn't make the air, but props to Chris and Brett, because when all this is happening, Chris and Brett jumped in and they said something to the effect of, Nicole and Victor don't deserve what's going on right now. Like, they're good people. And that felt, I mean, that really resonated with us.
Because we needed that at that moment, because we literally felt insane.
So,
like, when you're getting badgered about something that you're like, is that really that bad?
Yes.
Like, you start to think, and then you're like, oh my God, I got last. Like, wow, we're terrible. Like, had our journey ended right there, I don't know. I was hysterically crying for so long after that, because I was just dreading like running the race with them again, because I knew it was just going to be so bad.
Yeah. And honestly, any other person 9 times out of 10 in that situation, if you went through that, if you went through that back and forth with somebody and you think they're out, you just stay quiet. And that's like being the bigger person right there.
Had it been reversed and Team Fun told us they were going to U-turn Rachel and Alyssa, we wouldn't have told them, just because we weren't close enough, and I know that wouldn't have ended well.
And even if we did, and we got to the mat and Rachel and Alyssa were last, I wouldn't say a word. I would just swallow my pride, just be like, you know what, I'll be the bigger person. There's no reason for me to kick them while they're down. Like, that's fine. It happened.
Yeah, I would never do that.
You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Like, it's over.
Exactly.
And I think that's why people on social media and stuff were getting mad at them. Not because that we might have been in the wrong for saying something, but how they reacted to the situation. right?
That's true, because that was more, they got super personal, super fast.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, well,
that's
that
fine.
was, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, during the whole situation, the story would keep changing.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also why we distrusted them, is because first it was just team fun, and then there was more teams,
Well,
and then
not
they
even
can't
that.
remember the teams.
That wasn't even it. First it was they overheard.
Yeah.
They weren't part of the conversation, but they overheard. But there was no other teams there. But then so that's how they would know it was them. But then there was other teams there too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the fact that it kept changing too made me feel like it was a lie, but it wasn't. I get that it wasn't. Also, in all this craziness, this is the first time, which a lot of you ask, like, do you get to eat during the leg? Do you get to rest? It's like, no, it's go, go, go.
Or like use a restroom.
Even with the bathroom, it's like, you usually somehow hold it in and you don't even know it, but while we're looking for the final where Phil is, I had to pee so bad that we had to pull over, and I had to pee on the side of the road, and it was, oh my gosh.
It was just funny, and I was
and
like...
we were already late, and I'm like, I'm going to pee my pants.
So we actually stopped. We stopped in this parking lot to like get directions, and as I'm getting directions from these bikers, Nicole's like taking a pee on the other side of the car. It was just so funny, but again, guys, if you ever get a chance to go to Switzerland, that little town that we went to was like the cutest town.
Oh, I would go back in a heartbeat.
And all those towns, they have like a little cluster, and there's a lot of greenery. To the next town, you can take the train.
Everyone asks us, "Where's your favorite place you've been?" We always say Switzerland,
by far.
Even though, look at the circumstances, and we still say Switzerland. Like, it's breathtaking. The air you breathe is so pure. Everyone looks like they're so happy, has their crap together. It's so green. It feels like you're like literally in a different world, like almost like a movie.
Yeah, it's
with the trains and the mountains.
Literally just like a movie. Mm-hmm. And guys, if you ever want to go travel there, we're actually partnered with Travelocity, and Travelocity has a website dedicated to the places that we go on the race. So it's travelocity.com/amazing destinations, and you can they have the lowest prices guaranteed, and they will be with you every step of the way on your trip. It's no hassle. And yeah, you can go to the race destinations without having to do race stuff. You can just have fun.
Yeah, you can still do the height stuff if you want.
Yeah, no, I would recommend all that stuff. Everything that we did was freaking awesome, and anybody can do it, right? It's not just us. So again, that's travelocity.com/amazing destinations. And I'll tell you what, Switzerland is by far the most amazing destination.
It is.
I mean, I think it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So now what we want to do is, if there's any other lingering questions that you have, Nicole, I think we should answer those. And as a special treat for you guys, here shortly, we're going to have Korey Kuhl on the show, who has been killing it. Him and Tyler been getting first. Oh my gosh, Uganda, now Switzerland. I mean, they're the team that should be talking about U-turns.
Right.
But anyway, what questions do you got, babe?
So Joe said, I'm afraid of heights as well. What helped you make that jump? Definitely the thought of Victor being upset with me had I not, and the $1 million potential. But if I had to go do that, I would never be able to go do that for fun. Like, I can't even go down the water slide where you stand and then the bottom drops out. Yeah. I backed out in Florida when we went to the water park doing that. So,
yeah, I always want to do rides that have to do with heights, and Nicole's like, no, I have to do it like her brother or dad.
It just takes my breath away. My legs turn into jello. Like, even watching a movie and someone being close to the edge of a building, I immediately... my legs turn into jello. It's just not good. So I can't believe in the harness that we were wearing, it was so heavy, it kind of pulled you. So all I kind of had to do was like not hold my weight back.
Like lean forward and just like, ugh.
Yes, I just went limp. Oh my God.
I'm so happy that you get to experience that stuff. I will say I'm jealous because Nicole did the more fun stuff, I think. And I had to do like the more critical thing. You got to build something or do something.
And the reason I chose to do that, is because I was like, okay, I can like throw myself off of something. Like that's not super technical, but in all reality, it was pretty hard for me. Like I was crying. Oh man. Okay. Where do you sleep and eat?
So when we get to in the middle of a leg, when you're in the middle of a leg, and sometimes these legs, like as you see, we fly, and we have to travel or take a train, and some of these legs can be really long. So when you're in the middle of the leg, you're sleeping on a train, on a plane, on the airport floor. It's not the most comfortable of circumstances. And even like, for example, when we got to Laos, I believe, we were still technically in the middle of a leg when we arrived. So we slept on the floor of a hotel. We didn't even get hotel rooms.
It was like a hostel, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's supposed to be like a nice hotel, but we're not, they're not going to get us hotels when we're in the middle of a leg. So
that's true.
We're on the floor.
Yeah.
But when you get to the pit stop, you get a hotel. And that's...
Yeah, you get and then you eat after the leg.
Yeah,
like,
you eat when the leg's over. You don't eat during the leg.
You're not hungry during the leg at all. You're just like stressed.
Well, and I would say like at the airport you might be, but then you don't have like money to spend, and so you're kind of like waiting for your flight to eat in the plane.
True.
So yeah, we definitely lose weight because of that, because you're not eating a lot.
And also, since I don't eat meat, like every entree pretty much was like meat. So then I would be like, oh my gosh. So I'd give Victor his meat, he'd give me his vegetable. Like it was. Oh.
I remember there were times like on the plane, if we're in the back of the plane and I know like they only have set amount of meals, I'm like, I had to tell the stewardess like, hey, I don't eat fish, and no way am I just going to eat a vegetable meal. So can you please just bring me a meat?
And they only have very few. Yeah, so he would call dibs.
Yeah, because for me, it's like if I'm not going to eat for another 10 hours, an actual meal, I'm going to make sure that when I eat on the plane, I eat as much as I can.
Because what it kind of looked like, too, was like that was our main meals, but most people that were flying with us, like just flying to the location, they were just kind of like, I'll eat what I like or what's good, because they know they're going somewhere when they land.
Yeah, the normal traveler, the normal person, they don't really care about their airplane
They really
meal.
didn't care, but we were like so into it, like, what are we having?
Oh, and same with like, so Nicole and I were so like stressed and like always in game mode, never giving ourselves a moment to relax. When you take an international flight, alcohol is free. Right? So other teams would get like an alcoholic drink or a beer or whatever, and we'd be like, nah.
We never did.
We never did. We never got any alcoholic drink the whole time, even though they were free. We're like,
gosh.
No, thank you. So that's quite funny. But yeah, when you get to your pit stop, you do get a hotel, and it can be anywhere from 14, 16 hours that you get to rest to could be 48. You know what I mean? It just depends on what they got going on and how they have everything scheduled. So
do you get to rest between legs? Do they film you 24/7? They don't film you 24/7. That's why there's so many like empty holes in this whole story type thing. They don't film you really at the airport sitting down,
like
unless it's game talk, because normally it's not game talk.
Yeah, even like they're not even recording sometimes when you're in a taxi if you're just waiting to get to where you're going, right? They don't have the cameras on all the time. And like Nicole said, if we're in the airport and we're just sitting there not talking anything about the game, which a lot of times you're not because you just want to relax, cameras are off. Everybody's just hanging out.
Because then there's certain rules in airports too they have to follow with the cameras and all that. So
in some countries they can't record in the airport, and others they can. Some they can't do it at the terminal, but they can do it, at the stores, So it just all depends on what's going on. But the main question, no, they're not recording 24 hours. When you get to the pit stop, they're done recording, and you're actually not even supposed to be talking to anybody at that point because the cameras are off.
Right.
People have been asking repeatedly, I don't know if they listen or not, but Nicole and I were dating when we filmed this, and now we are engaged. So at that point, we weren't engaged. We were a semi-new couple. We were living together at that time, but we were not engaged. So definitely brought us closer. happily ever after.
Yes.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed our little recap. I hope this gave you some perspective on why we did the things we did and how things played out and what we were feeling in the moment. So I hope that clarified that a little bit. And now we're going to have Korey Kuhl, one half of, I guess, the YouTubers, or I don't know what they're, Tyler and Corey, half of the team Tyler and Corey. And we'll talk to him a little bit about his experience second time around and how it feels to get first place twice.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on Coco Caliente. I'd like to say that you're a little caliente yourself.
Thank you.
But yeah, Nicole and I, we just kind of wanted to get a feel of how, you feel the race is going for you and how this compares to your first time around and actually how you even got into this whole mess to begin with, The Amazing Race, right? Reality TV. So, yeah, I guess I'll let you just kind of take it away.
Yeah, so I had always been a fan of The Amazing Race and Survivor and Big Brother, honestly. Our family grew up watching all of those shows, so it was always kind of like a staple in our household. And, yeah, I had just been a huge fan, and I had actually applied with, an ex of mine early on, when I was out of college. We didn't get far at all in the process, but we had applied to be on the race. And then, when they originally did our season 28, which was social media stars, they reached out to Tyler, but we still did a very traditional casting process. We get a lot of questions like that as to how easily we were accepted. And it certainly wasn't the case. They kind of put a call out, I think, to a lot of YouTube managers and people with social media influences. So we just said that we were interested. And from there, we still had to do the full process. We still made a 3-minute application video. We still had to do all the paper applications.
Wow. Yeah, you thought. Yeah. It seems like you guys would just be a no-brainer, but I guess.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm sure it was very similar to the process you guys went through when you were cast on Big Brother the first time.
Oh, yeah, you had to go through everything for sure.
Yeah, we still had to go to the hotel casting week, and it's you show up on day one, and there's we recognized some people because it was a social media thing. Mm-hmm. But as the week kept going, it's people got cut and you stopped seeing some of the faces that you had been seeing in the early days. So yeah, we made it through that full casting week. And even then they still said it's not a guarantee. And we had to wait a little bit longer to find out.
And you and Tyler are both from Michigan, and you guys have been friends since college or high school?
From college, yeah.
Okay.
I'm 4 years older than him, so we actually met when it was his freshman year at Michigan State, and it was my 5th year. I was doing a victory lap, is what I was saying.
Hey, 5th year senior.
Yes, 5th year senior. So it was kind of like kismet in a way, where we say I wasn't even originally going to do that 5th year. I was going to try to cram it all in and just do it in in a 4.5 years, and I ended up staying, and I ended up meeting him, and yeah, we found all these weird connections. He was from the same hometown I was from. Our families kind of knew each other and had went to school together. So it was kind of all these stars aligned, and I think we were really supposed to be friends. Mm-hmm. Because, it was just too many weird connections, too many times that we had crossed each other's paths and didn't necessarily know it.
Yeah.
And then it all kind of aligned, his freshman year at Michigan State, and I guess we've been best friends since then.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool. And how far did you guys make it on your first season? Didn't you guys get to the final 3?
Yeah, final 3.
Yeah, our first season we made it to the final 3, and being a fan of the show, it's you sit at home so often and you say I could do that, that could be me. I know I would be good at that. Mm-hmm. And the very first episode of season 28, we got 2nd place, and it was literally a foot race for first that day. And we kind of looked at each other, and I was we were right. We knew we could do this. We thought we could do it well, and yeah, right off the first half of season 28, we only finished in 1st or 2nd in the first 5 legs.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was crazy, and it was I don't know, just this weird out of body experience to be able to do something that you've dreamt about doing, and that for a show that you've loved. It wasn't smooth sailing the whole time. We had a couple of bumps along the way on season 28, but yeah, we ended up making it to the the final three, which was a dream come true and something we had said we wanted to do the whole time. Because, as many seasons of this show that there's been, it's like, and all the great teams that there's been, it's like only 3 teams make it to the finals. And you guys know how hard it is to continue racing and to keep going. So it was a dream come true. And while we were a little disappointed that we didn't win the first time, it was such a crazy experience that we just tried to think how thankful we were for the experience as a whole.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. And how are you seeing it now compared, how many legs are we in right now?
7, 8. I'm like, where are we?
How does it compare to the first that you did over there? Like when you're comparing seasons and competitors and stuff.
The funny thing is we said since day one when we saw everyone at the starting line for season 31, we knew we had big shoes to fill because we knew how well we raced the first time, but the Survivor and the Big Brother teams and the Amazing Race alumni that were there were such competitive people that from that first day, I remember looking at him and being like, this is not going to be as easy as it was the first time. And you kind of second guess yourself. And it took us a little bit longer to get that first place this time. And I remember every time we looked at each other, whether it was during the actual race or when we were at an airport or when you're hanging out in the hotel rooms, we were just like, are we going to be able to do this? And I think that is just such a testament to how strong you guys were and so many of the Survivor teams, because literally everybody came to play. And while there was a learning curve for some of the new teams, I think a competitive spirit comes across. And I think that's just truly what made it so much harder for us the second time.
Yeah, and I think one of because you and Tyler seem perfect together all the time. So I think one of the times that made me laugh is when you guys did argue a little bit. That was in when we were taxis. Yeah, when we were all looking for the taxis, and he's like, "Well, I hope you're looking over there."
It'd be nice if you were looking over there or something.
So did you feel Did you feel or was it like that the first time? You guys had some tensions, but most of the time you guys are just happy-go-lucky.
Because when you're racing and you're in the front of the pack and you're in the front of the pack, it's almost like a different feel. It's like a different personality.
Absolutely.
You can be your best self, but when you're towards the end, I feel like I get panicky, I get more pushy, I start to yell. So I guess is that something you guys experienced too?
Yeah, it was definitely. I think we try to always be as silly and goofy, and I think part of our friendship is so much based on just trying to make the other person laugh. Our friends tell us all the time that we kind of live in our own world, just the two of us, and it's all about us just trying to make the other person laugh or smile or that sort of thing. And it's definitely. It doesn't happen often, which is why I don't think it's captured a lot, especially on both seasons of the race. But we certainly bicker. I think we were strategic bickerers. It was more so at the airport when no one was looking. I remember times when we'd be on computers researching the country we were going to, which you guys know is something you do when you have downtime at the airport. Just kind of asking him to either help look up something or to do something. And we did more of our bickering off camera, which I think is just kind of true to our character.
Yeah.
And I like that you say that because I don't think people know, or if they do, I'll say it now. When we're at airports, everybody's trying to do this research about, the next place that we're going, and we'll go to some tech shop and get an iPad or a phone, and everybody's so on edge next to each other trying to get this information. It's
that's another way that if some team has your back or something, because they'll share what they found on the internet. And so that's a really good point, because that's you're so grateful. Colin was always so giving with the info. You were giving with the info. And then there's people who will guard it with their life. And you're just well, now I know.
And what's funny is 9 times out of 10, all that research went to nothing,
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That's the funny thing. And that's one of the things Tyler and I talked about a lot the first time, is just seeing how the different race personalities are. And it's like, you'll see those teams that are going to like use every second and every minute at the airport researching stuff. And I mean, that's good for them. And if that's your style of racing, like more power to you. But Tyler and I just were never that team because we never wanted to get too like pigeonholed into like one idea or thinking like something was definitely going to happen.
Right.
So it's like we would do a little bit of searching, we would take a little bit of notes, but we never wanted to just like exhaust all of our resources. And then, yeah, it's like you end up reading a clue and you're like dead set on thinking you're going to this monument because you researched it. And that's not even the place where you end up going.
Yeah, like I remember.
I think it was like when people. So if I saw people researching, I'm like, oh crap! Now I gotta go research.
Yes.
Like I don't want to, but I feel like I'm gonna get out if I don't.
That is so funny. No, Tyler and I were the exact same way. We did that a lot in season 28 because Bernie and Ashley was another team, and they were super into like the research and checking things out. And yeah, you would see them at a computer, and you're like, you would feel guilty almost. You're like, does that mean I have to do this much work too?
It's like the person studying for the test, and you're just like, God, I already did all my studying, you know. And you're right; it could bite you in the butt. I mean, the steps in the tower, you know what I mean? That's a prime example. And I felt bad for you guys. I was like, no way. They
that was a good try, though.
That would have been really, really good to just
our thought process was we knew we were such strong runners, and we're like, listen, I'm like, it's not that many stairs. If we sprint to the top, guessing wrong, and come back down, we're only going to lose 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So we were like, it's worth the gamble. We knew we were at the front of the pack.
Yeah, exactly. I would have done the gamble too.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there were teams that went up and down like 3 times and still.
I know.
That's awesome. And so that's cool. And I think I felt really sad, and I'm happy they caught the moment that Nicole talked to you at the airport. But just what was that feeling going to Uganda and winning? You know, you know what I mean? Like how was that processing through your mind?
It was a weird kind of day, and I've gotten a lot of questions about this because we had went to Dubai before, and then we went to Uganda, and Dubai actually has similar laws to Uganda, and so we were kind of asked why we reacted the way that we did in Uganda, but not necessarily in Dubai. And I think it all kind of boiled down to the different 2 security briefings that we got from the race production that day. Like, it was such more of a serious conversation that we had about going to Uganda, and it just made it feel more unsafe as a whole. Yeah. So just, opening the clue that day. And I mean, we all had the visas in our passports, so we knew if we had made it so far into the race, we were actually going to go to Uganda because there was already a Uganda visa in our passport. So it had kind of actually been looming over us the whole time for the first half of the race because it was something we were thinking about daily. Like, are we going to go? What's going to happen? And we just felt a lot lighter after we went and kind of survived and ended up winning that leg. But I remember we landed at the airport that morning and we were getting ready to start the Uganda leg. And Tyler and I looked at the producers and we said, we're going to win this leg. And because they knew we were emotional and they knew we were kind of nervous. And they said, that's the first time you guys have said that about any leg this race, this time. And they were like, and that sounds like the old Tyler and Korey that we know. And so it was just, I don't know, it was just such a out of body experience kind of day. We filmed it the weekend that we filmed it. That specific episode was when San Francisco's Pride was happening. So we knew all of our friends were back home in the States, like celebrating gay pride, celebrating being able to be open and be themselves. And it was just this kind of weird and awesome day where all the stars kind of aligned. And I don't know, I think we were kind of meant to have that moment. And I was glad it was a day where we had physical tasks and we got to prove our strength, because I think a lot of people still question like how strong gay men actually are and actually can be. Yeah. And I mean, it was just, they captured it pretty well in the episode, and obviously it's only 42 minutes, but it was a very emotional day for us. You might have noticed they didn't even put really any bonus clips of Tyler and I on YouTube from that Uganda leg because we were kind of more serious. And that's just not the type of racers we were. It was just a bigger more serious day. And I'm glad they showed some of the cute moments, like when we were pushing the bikes and we were talking to the chickens and stuff like that. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was this real big, like, full circle moment that I think we needed to have and needed to kind of like find our strength again as an amazing race team.
No, and you guys crushed it, and Nicole and I, we were so happy for you guys.
And you crushed it again. You guys are on a roll.
I know.
Yeah. I was so glad they showed that moment of me and Nicole at the airport and Colin as well, because there's not a lot of times where teams are willing to like put their guard down and support another team. It's like, we all know where they're racing for $1 million. And so you don't get a lot of those real like human moments where people just like put the race aside and just take care of each other as humans. And like, I remember that happening so vividly. I was so thankful that you guys and Colin and Christy and all the other teams gave us the support that they did that day. But yeah, I was really happy they showed it on TV, because that meant so much to me that yeah, you guys took the time to come over and check on us and kind of give us that boost that we needed mentally too.
Yeah, no, and you guys were
You
awesome.
guys would have done the same for us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. It's like we were talking about, so we kind of podcasted a little bit earlier this morning, just like talking about how they don't show like the downtime of you of hanging out at the airports, and you really do find connections with people that don't make sense like on the race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't just like, because it just cracks me up like watching that episode. Some people are just like, why didn't you listen to them? Like Rachel and it's just like, well, because we thought we were closer to Team Fun, you know,
right.
on the downtime. So it's really hard to explain, and there's so much more than just the 42 minutes on the episode. But they do the best they can trying to put the storylines together. But it just like there's just so much, and I feel like I'm really like emotional too, so I would just kind of hang out with a couple people on the downtime and get really close to a few people rather than just like mingle with everyone, because I feel like I need that really like intimate connection with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it totally makes sense. Like when we were watching the episode from Switzerland, and it showed like the Afghanimals and the Rileys and Team Fun all hanging out at that bar or wherever they were. All my friends we were watching it with, they were like, where were you guys? And I'm like, we were at the airport playing euchre with Nicole and Victor for 6 hours. And I was like, and it was just, I said, I was like, as you saw, Tyler and I didn't feel super comfortable in Uganda, so we didn't want to kind of explore the city. Like, we knew it was 6 hours at the airport, but we were like, we're just gonna go sit there because we felt most comfortable doing that. And we were glad you guys showed up and played euchre with us for hours on it.
Yeah, which is something that like if down the line they show us like working together or whatever, it wouldn't make sense, you know what I mean? But it's like behind the scenes, like we're actually hanging out. And so I mean we talked to you quite a bit.
And it wasn't like game talk, it was just like hanging out, getting to know people. And I'm like, I'm a sucker for that. Like once someone shows me their like soft side and stuff, I'm just like, I trust you. I trust them 100%. But if it's always like, game, what can you give me? I'm like, I don't trust them, you know?
It was something we needed, like both times we raced, we kind of gravitated more towards those people who were able to kind of mentally uncheck from game mode, because it you know how hard it is. And it's like, it's so tough to just live in that mindset 24 hours a day, and it's like, I don't know how you guys do it on Big Brother, because I'm sure it's much more like that. But on the race, you do kind of get chances to decompress when you're in your hotel room or when you're at the airport.
Yeah, but in Big Brother it's actually easier to like mentally. I think.
I don't know. I think people are 24/7 playing a game all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
The cameras never turn off. You know what I mean?
True.
So, another thing that I wanted to bring up that didn't make the show is when we were in Dubai running through those garages, those car garages, because we got dropped off in the wrong place and we ran into like 3 of them. You ate it, and I felt so bad. You tripped over the speed bump. Did you get hurt at that, or were you fine?
That's what was in my head a lot. I think, like, was it harder also this time around, because I felt like I was so much more like clumsy, and I got hurt so many more times. And it's like, it was just these little silly things that like in a normal day-to-day basis wouldn't like add up and it wouldn't really bother you. But it's like, I had cut my finger in Vietnam. When we were running through the garages in Dubai, I tripped over that speed bump and like straight up ate it hard. and then like when we ate those shoes in Japan, like it cut the inside of my mouth to the point where it like turned into canker sores. Like,
I
on the inside
remember
of my
that.
mouth.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember when we finished that Dubai leg, I looked at the production when like, because you know medical comes to your hotel rooms at night and checks on you. Like I remember looking at them and being like, I'm not a complainer, but I need help. like I need canker sore medicine. I need Neosporin. I need
your
like,
finger looked messed up. I remember the white, you know how it like swells up in white or whatever. I was like, what is wrong with your finger?
Yeah, and it's like it was. And the funny thing is the medical guy who he had on season 28 also, he actually looked at me, especially after I cut my finger, and he was like, we never heard a peep out of you two the first time. Like, that's how tough you guys were. It was never, I'm sore, I got a headache, I got a bruise. So he was like, if Korey and Tyler are asking for, like, medical attention in any sort of way, he's like, I know it must be a little more serious. And he was like, because you guys never asked for anything on season 28, and you guys were always, like, taking care of yourselves. So, yeah, I was, like, bumped and bruised. And, like, and it's like they showed me cutting my finger in Vietnam, but it's like, it's every little thing that you did from there on out. I remember when we did the rope swing in Switzerland, it's like my Band-Aid like came off when I jumped and was swinging down. And then I remember like being on that rope and my finger like throbbing and me being like, this is awesome, but also I need a Band-Aid when I get off the rope. Like it was just so many little things that, part of me was like, was that why it was so much harder the second time? Because I was just getting banged up left and right.
How was that when you were doing the what was it, Water Down?
Yeah. Water Down.
How was Water Down?
Yeah,
that looked awesome.
I kind of wish I would have did that.
Oh my gosh. I said to like all of my friends, I'm like, this was honest, and it was funny. I feel like they really captured it in the episode. So many people were saying like, this is the best day ever. Like, this is the best day of my life. We just, it's so much easier, as you know, when you're out in front to kind of like make those decisions. You don't really kind of second guess it. And I think maybe you do lean in a little bit more toward the ones you think are going to be more fun when you're at the front of the list. And it was just like, I want to go back and do that whole day all over again. Like just playing in the river, the water was freezing. That's why they had us in those head to toe wetsuits. But it was like, you were just like a big kid playing in the river, climbing over rocks, jumping in the puddles. It was so fun.
It looked really fun. And the reason we didn't pick it is because we knew we were fifth. And then it said like two, it had that rule of like 2 at a time, or like you had to wait in line or something. And we're like, oh, we'll never pull ahead. You know, well, that's why we were shocked.
We were shocked to see like Colin and Christy pass Becca and Floyd kind of during it, because like our guide controlled the pace completely. And it's like we were just following him and we were doing what he was doing. And yes, I do think Tyler is a little more like nervous in some of those situations, so maybe he was going from Tyler's pace. But when we came out of that river, we thought we were going to be like miles ahead of everybody, and we literally, Team Fun and Colin and Christy came up out of the river, and while we were changing out of our wetsuits, as you saw, and we were like, holy crap, we're not guaranteed first place today.
So how did you know exactly where to go?
I said this was a like 1 in a million miracle chance that never happens on the Amazing Race. Like never in any of the legs that I ever raced did we get such perfect directions in the way that we got them going to that church. Like they showed the clip of me. I had done the same thing you did where we flagged a car down in the road, but we did that before we even left the detour spot. So while they were changing out their wetsuits, all of our cars were kind of parked along the road, and we saw a couple of bikers go by. So we were like, let's just flag a car before we even get in to make sure we're going the right way.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so a guy had pointed us, he said, that city is just down this hill. He's like, if you follow it, you're going to run into it. And I remember it had the weird name listed for the church. And when we had asked the first guy, like, what is this? He's like, I don't know, but if you just follow this road down, you're going to run into it. And right when we got into the town, literally the very first guy we stopped on the street, we just kind of rolled down the window and yelled out to him, and he walked over to the car, and he was like, oh yeah, I know what that is. It's just a church. It's 2 blocks down and make a right.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's
we
awesome.
like never in a million years had we ever gotten that lucky on a self-navigating thing.
Did you see them other ones? Were they following you in the car, or do you
No, because we got lucky, so we pulled out pretty quickly, and Becca and Floyd and Colin and Christy were kind of like following each other, and I think they kept stopping. Like, they stopped a few times to ask because they weren't finding anyone who knew what that church was.
We didn't find anyone either.
Yeah, and it's like right when we turned that corner, it was a couple that had come over, and the woman was like, I have no idea what that is. And the guy was like, oh, that's the old church. It's right around the corner. And I remember because I was driving, we pulled around that corner, and sure enough, I saw all those parking meters that had like red and yellow. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm like, that was a 5-minute drive for us. And I don't know how we got that lucky.
That is so, when you get good direction, oh my gosh, like there's nothing better.
I said this earlier. I got the right directions, right? But the people that were giving me directions were parked at a different parking lot, right? So
we asked 3 people before we left,
and they all said the same thing.
Yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, just get out of the parking lot, take a right. And I was like, oh, perfect. But they were parked across the street, so their right is my left.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And then it showed like me telling Victor, because we didn't have cell service up at the top of the funicular. There was no, so I was like, Vic, what about this? And they of course show it. It's so funny. I'm like, what about this guy? Like, let's double check with him. And he's like, no, we're fine. We got it. Because he already asked 3 people, and like, I'm just double checking. But I could see his phone was working, and I like feel so much better when someone's like, yeah, see, it says go this way.
It's you know those self-drive legs are like so hard, and it's like that's the like dreaded thing on the race, because I don't think people who watch the show realize what it's like to not only be in a foreign country, in a foreign city, but like driving without a cell phone or like GPS. Like, nobody does that anymore.
And we don't even have a map. Like,
right.
You don't have anything. I even know how to use one, but I don't even have one. So it's like just stop and go. So we blame our taxi drivers, but sometimes people do. But it's like so grateful they know where they're going most of the time.
It's like, you occasionally get a bad one, but I think, honestly, I'm like, I would rather take taxis than have to self-drive on that show.
100%.
But, we don't want to hold up any more of your time. We really appreciate you getting on with us. You're such a pleasure to race with. And you're such a fun person, and I can't.
So smart, and definitely just such a threat. But you don't come off of it as it when you're racing with you, because you're so nice. But like watching you, I'm like, oh my God, he's got it all. Like, we should have been like checking them out the whole time. Like, let's just do what they do.
That's our thought process was both times. We're like the people usually target the like male teams because they think it's such like a physical thing. So we're like, let's just play up being like fun, silly, friendly gays who are non-threatening. But I mean, it is very true to our personalities. Like you guys said, we love those like intimate connections that you get with certain teams, and we love meeting people and having those more genuine moments. So I was super thankful that you guys were there. I like, as a fan of Big Brother, I was so stoked that first day when I walked in and saw you guys, and I knew exactly who both of you were, and I was like, oh my God, it's Nicole and Victor. and I was like, Tyler, they are gonna be good. I remember saying to him when we got back to our room that day, I was like, Victor was like winning every challenge on Big Brother, and Nicole's such a good like social player. I'm like, they are gonna be tough.
Well, hey, we appreciate the compliments. But thank you for being on the show.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Okay.
Right,
See you later.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed that segment with Korey Kuhl. I love to say his name, Korey Kuhl.
He's so cool.
He is cool. I think one time I accidentally said a pun about him. I was like, I think I just said Corey's super, or someone was asking about him. I'm like, he's super cool. And then Victor like laughed.
You know, it's funny.
Corey's cool. That's why I said Corey's cool.
Korey is the king of puns. He would always be
Yes.
like, we were in Laos, and he'd be like, let's get Laos.
Let's get Laos.
And he'd always just come up with random things. And yeah, he's really goofy. But yeah, that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And now, as we always do at the end of the episode, we are going to...
Just started, but as we always do.
Okay, as we started doing recently and will forever from now on, we're going to read the reviews, a couple pair of reviews that you guys, left us because we really appreciate it.
Yeah, there is so right now I'm reading them. There's so many good ones from, you guys loved hearing my mom, and that makes me so happy. I'm like, Mom, read the reviews about you. There's a lot, and they're all so nice. But
yeah, Nicole, take it away. Thank you guys so much. Leave reviews. We love you guys for it. It drives us.
Okay, I'll do this one. It's called Feels Like We're Friends. Riley Jack, 5 stars. I just listened to Brittany and Janelle on your podcast, and it felt like I was on the phone with 3 of my best girlfriends and a hot guy with a great laugh. That's you, Vic. Love every episode of your podcast, but to get 3 of the best female players in BB history was better than I ever knew it could be. Thanks to both of you for letting us be a part of your lives. Wish you all the best, Stephanie.
Aw,
Thanks
that's
so
sweet.
much.
Yeah, that was really
I love
sweet.
when people feel like they're in the conversation.
And that's honestly, like, we wish you guys can be having a cup of hot cocoa with us. Exactly. So mine is, the review I'm reading is from Kamavu. It's called One of My Favorites, 5 stars. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to. I love everything from the stories of small town life in Ubly to behind the scenes of TAR, The Amazing Race. Nicole and Vic just mesh together so well and bring out the best in each other. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I like that.
So are you going to do a Spanish word of the day today?
Should we? You want to do a Spanish word?
We should do Spanish word of the day or weird or normal. So which one do you want to do?
Okay. We'll do. Do you have a weird or normal?
No.
So I guess Spanish word of the day it is. So the Spanish word of today is miedo.
Say it again, please.
The American way.
Yeah.
Miedo.
It sounds like meow. So cat.
No, not cat. Miedo.
Is it an animal?
It is not an animal.
Okay.
It has to do what we're talking about today. So
okay.
It's Miedo. Miedo.
Oh, I know this. This is like jumping off of something.
Okay, no, it's not, but you're on the right track.
Helicopter.
Not that track, a different track.
Oh, a roller coaster.
No, okay, I'm sorry. Don't think about the word track. Don't think about that. But think about more like how you feel when you're doing that.
How about you use this in a
How you feel when you're doing that.
Oh, scared.
Miedo.
You know what you should start doing is using it in a sentence.
Fear. It's
Hey,
fear.
Use it in a sentence, a Spanish sentence.
Yo tengo miedo.
I am scared.
Yeah. It's like scared, fear, kind of in the same. They go hand in hand.
Oh.
Tú le tienes miedo a las alturas. You're scared of heights.
See?
Yeah. So that's the Spanish word of the day. Miedo. Try to use it sometime today. And if you use it, I feel like if you use it like 3 or 4 times, you kind of like get to know it.
It
really
becomes
well.
like C.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening. We really hope you enjoyed. Make sure to rate, review,
subscribe.
There you go. You can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, but you can review specifically on Apple Podcasts, either that little purple app on your phone or online. But you can also listen to us on Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and don't forget you can always go to www.cococalientepodcast.com, listen there, and buy our merch if you like. I think the mugs are super cute. But thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.